Hi everyone, welcome to today's AMA. We are live with Nikita, founder of HolderHouse. This is an operating system for private capital built on Canton network. Private markets are massive, trillions in SAFTs, SAFEs, private equity, shares, pre-IPO, but they are completely broken. Everything is stuck in PDFs, in emails, internal DMs and messages, and fragmented brokers. So liquidity really exists, but it's trapped by jurisdictional barriers and zero digitalization. So HolderHouse is building the solution for this. And Nikita, I want you share with us what you built and what is the HolderHouse. Like, be short within a minute.
Hey guys, hey Daniel. Thanks for inviting for this MA session. Really appreciate your supporting our startup. So yeah, let me kind of briefly describe you what we're actually aiming to build and what's the secret sauce, right? As you mentioned, yeah, private markets are huge, right? And they've been there right long before crypto. And I wouldn't say that they are not yet digitalized. Some way there is plenty of different, equity management platforms, some marketplaces, you name it, brokers, etc. But actually, even though these guys managing these whatever billion, trillion deals, right? Firstly, they're all private, and there's so many parties engaged, and they did not connect to anyone. So actually, each of these party is just the agency fighting with other agencies for the same audience, right? So we have business, we have capital, and like plenty of different players in between the capital and business, right? And you see, the idea is quite simple. Uh, it's kind of the way how we can all communicate between each other, and the way of this communication should kind of be standardized and digitalized. That would help to do the very simple thing to consolidate the market, because actually for the business and for the capital, this is the most obvious kind of question of efficiency. If you want to sell something to liquidate your position, for you would be the best case if you can get access to aggregated liquidity. The same for the buyer, right? But today's perspective of the market, it's against your liquidity. Everybody wants to cut, their clients. Everybody wants to get the best deal, right? So that's why we pick the way how we can digitalize and automate and aggregate this liquidity without fighting with other brokers. But we do the opposite. We building the rails on which all these parties would be collectively making the effective market.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. And tell us a bit more about your background, because I know that like you figured it out not just because like you heard it from somewhere, you actually was in the system.
Yeah, you name it. So me myself, I'm more than 15 years in IT startups. It's been a while. Before crypto, I was in ad tech. We've been building the technologies for the digital marketing solutions, and I work with plenty of top tier, brands worldwide known, etc. And last what it is 9 years I'm in crypto, and it's also been a while because I've started from on-ramp or from OTC. Then I was in consultancy agency. We helped a lot of, these early days of ICOs, bullish thing. We were helping, to launch a lot of ICOs. Then we've been launching the mining pool quite successfully. We got to the top 20 of Bitcoin mining pools in just 6 months. Then been launching tax, then been launching gamified platform, then been launching other things. And the last 4 years, I'm specifically in the secondaries OTC. So before that, I was co-founder of another OTC desk, and I was commercial director. So I've built all the commercials from scratch, established the rails, etc. So I guess most of the viewers today, or those who are gonna see it later on, knows me because of that, right? Because I have huge network of VCs and projects whom I helped to transfer the shares or the SAFT allocations, right? That's what I do for the last years. I closed more than 100 deals, so that's why I've been on this trenches. I know specifically how it works, in not only in Web3 space but also for the pre-IPO. maybe not so much, but we closed some of them, of these big names also, like SpaceX, whatever, Anthropic, OpenAI, and others, right? So yeah, that's why you're right. The idea is not just come from some sources. It's came from the actual experience and of the feeling of daily basis feeling that why it is so broken, why it is so stupid, why it is so inefficient. Why do all these guys just kind of they are not helping you to solve this? Kind of the very obvious thing if you want to liquidate or buy something, right? In fact, they are kind of spoiling you because when you kind of the middleman in between the sell and buy side, I believe the only duty you have is to be the one who can deliver obligations. Unfortunately, practically most of the brokers or so-called engines, they are not those type of guys. They cannot be, the one who control and can actually guarantee the distribution of obligations. That's it. So, long story short, this product crafted specifically to kind of solve all these headaches, automate, make it safe, transparent, and as straightforward as possible, right? So everybody's understand where we at, what to do next, what's the next step, what's the compliance, what's the access, what's the disclosures, etc.
That's awesome. Basically, in my opinion, the best startups are born when you see the pain, you work in the industry, you see the pain, you want to fix that, and that's like the best approach to build a company. So let me ask you one thing. You build on Canton Network. Canton Network is like pretty new player on the space, and still many people in crypto do not know anything about it, despite it like top 18 maybe or top 17, like definitely top 20 project right now. So and private markets also like have existed forever with like traditional brokers and agents. So I have two questions basically. Why build this on Canton Network instead of like using Ethereum or Solana, or maybe just like improving the existing OTC process?
Yeah, actually, you answered the very right question, and I believe, in short words, that this is the ultimate only existing kind of choice we have to cover the specific solution we are talking about, the standard. Because the standard for institutional market means that just imagine outside our kind of crypto guys bubble where we are living in. How in real world such type of things operate, right? When, for example, some, I don't know, hedge fund or investment bank wants to transfer another whatever billion zillion dollar deal to each other, right? So usually they firstly it's a private deals, right? And the idea of every such party is kind of try to avoid the disclosures as much as possible, right? So in the best scenario, you would disclose only to specific, another party. You do it just between you and nobody knows, right? So um, and just for the reference of the any EVM on any public chains, yeah, I never would kind of believe that some billion-dollar deal from such type of Wall Street guys would be transacted through Ethereum, right? Because it's just about the same things about the privacy disclosures, and that this transaction would be laid on the public chain that everybody could get access, right? You cannot control that. Even with all these ZK rollups or whatever else, you see, this is like, you try to fix the thing that originally wasn't crafted for those things, right? It was crafted to be open. It was crafted to be accessible to track all the transactions, right? So that's why Canton, you see, when we talk about, the idea of DeFi trying to sell their vision to TradFi, I guess this is the wrong strategy because it never happened. Actually, we don't have any successful cases yet. Yeah, so why we should believe that another startup could do this, right? Usually, this product, whatever beautiful idea you have, or etc., it still remains under this, specific kind of specific kind of clients who have this adoption, who already kind of get this vibe of crypto, but not all these all the guys from Wall Street who live in this kind of in the very secure and stable environment where you don't have option to take too many risks, right? Yeah, they have some flexibility, but they are definitely not the progressive part of, those IT startups that we live in and that you guys, right? They're not so progressive, right? So once again, Canton is the other example. And why I'm telling that this is the only ultimate kind of solution that we can build our product on is because it's not the DeFi trying to sell to TradFi their vision. It's the opposite. It's the TradFi guys, the digital asset. It's the developer of software for the banks, right? They've been there for years. They are not the newcomers, right? All these big names like JP Morgan, whatever, DTCC, they're partners and clients. I mean, they are not from the Web3 space, kind of. So what they did is they did specific, software that fits into existing banking software because it's even written on the same language. They have their own language demo, right? So the whole idea about this network is how to fit all these specifications that such type of entities have in their daily transactions, right? I mean, which kind of specifications? First is privacy, right? Second is disclosures. So if you have several things to be involved in the transaction, I mean, regulators also. So you should have some digital solution that kind of recognize the whole procedure and can actually feed the process how it performs today. If you need to report something, that you need to have this disclosure and reporting for auditor, right? And privacy, disclosures, and compliances, and atomic swap only when compliance fit from both sides. This is the core thing that's already there, right? And that's why when we talk about if we aim to build some kind of software that's aiming for the TradFi institutional market, there's no other network today that was built by TradFi institutions that fills all these specifications, right? So that's why this is the ultimate. Actually, you guys, if you don't know Canton, I definitely advise you to have a look and to read through the recent updates because they're doing a great job. Besides, because you see in Web3, most of our recognition comes only from the token kind of valuation of the trading chart. When you open who is top whatever 100 coin market cap project, meaning that if token is performing, that's something great. But you see, they did not even sell their allocations to raise the capital. If you know. So I could talk about it more, but I guess this is the very core idea why do we pick Canton and why it is so the only right solution for us.
Yeah, I completely agree with you here. And Canton was built by big institution to big institution. So in your game and in your project, it's the best choice. So if you want to build something for these big guys, you need to build on the infrastructure, of course.
You need to know the rules, right?
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, who joining us and watching us online, I just want to remind you that you can ask any questions and the comments under this video on YouTube, on X. Also follow us, follow Nikita, follow me, follow EasyMM. And yeah, also I have on my X a big research regarding Canton network if you're interested to know more about Canton. So native integration. Okay, I have the next question for you. Of course, when we talk about like private markets and these opportunities, we definitely need to talk a lot about regulations. And I know that you have a very detailed six-stage regulatory roadmap. Can you highlight it for our audience and share some ideas, what you can share?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, you're completely right that when we talk about such kind of heavy regulated type of transactions, right? Security assets, all these big guys involved, and actually the big money game is all under some specific jurisdiction-wise rules. Specific asset-wise rules, etc. And you see the whole market. That's one of the angle from which it is splitted into different zones, jurisdictions, compliances, etc. And there are some guys, for example, like FINRA or DTCC. who's actually not the governance regulators, but they become some part of these financial markets, rails and regulations, right? So what we actually trying to build is kind of in this direction, because we want to establish kind of the digitalizing standard of the manual things we have today. So idea from this perspective is quite simple. We don't want to kind of avoid some regulations or avoid some restrictions that exist, or some restrictions in between specific jurisdictions. No, we just want to kind of map the reality as it is, specifically as it is. For which specific jurisdiction we're talking about? We're talking about major, I mean, US, Europe, maybe Singapore for Asia, right? And Emirates for the MENA. Yeah. And from this perspective, what we are trying to achieve, right? We're gonna do the open source part of our development as this specification of the rules we need to digitalize, right? There's a great reference on the market. How do big guys from equity management markets did kind of the same when they were asking, hey guys, let's try to build some standards for the paperwork. Because if you know all these platforms like Carta, Allocations, Angelis, you name it, everyone uses the same blanks of agreements, of spreadsheets. And how did that happen? They just do some work group. They attracted members to support, hey guys, let's kind of agree to use some specific, blanks of agreements, right? So what we do now is kind of the same. We are gathering work group. We promoted this idea with the Canton Foundation. We're gonna put it on their grant program right now. We got initial partners like Hacking, several licensed brokers, law firms, etc. And this list is growing. We're gonna publish it soon. You would see the announcement maybe next week. We're just, gathering all these proper documentation, and we would happy to see more partners. Maybe some of the guys who's watching us right now would be happy to join. The idea of this step is simple. We kind of do the same as these guys did with the cap table documents, qualified some standards between all the market players. We're gonna do the same. We're gonna qualify the standards of execution for those things between all the market players, brokers, equity management platforms, law firms, you name it, right? I can I can share the screen right now. No?
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, perfect. So yeah, let me show you. This should be, give me a second. Yeah, this one. This project that I was describing you is Open Cap Table. They did coalition. They attracted all these guys like equity management platforms, like brokers, exchanges, law firms, accelerators, everybody who's actually, somehow managing those type of things. I mean, equity, right? And they just agreed, how are we gonna, communicate with each other? Let's build some standard of the documentations, right? And they also involve, I mean, big guys like the TCC. What we are launching right now with Canton Foundation is kind of the same. We're gonna attract all these guys, practically the same type, brokers, law firms, exchanges, etc., and just qualify these open source standard. What would be the standard? The standard is how do things that are right now manual can be digitalized. What's the specification, right? It's just stating the reality. So coming back to your question, why I'm describing you all of these? Because specifically this part is the open source part of our so-called, political message and, incentive for the whole market. Gonna qualify the specific list of jurisdiction that we apply this standard to, and some, specific things in each jurisdiction. That's why we also want to involve the regulators here. We have great contacts on Emirates with the regulators. We also would proceed to find more direct relations with other jurisdictions like Singapore, UK, and then US. But it's a journey, right? We have the very, detailed plan of all the steps that we should pass to actually become an institution here. I mean, not just only broker, right? This is the first step, that we're going to be licensed as a broker for such type of all these private assets, right? And it's more like would be either Singapore, either Emirates. These two options is for the first step. That's actually the reason why we are raising right now our first round to complete this legal story. Next things is gonna be some sort of the ATS or the exchange for the private capital assets, right? And once again, the jurisdictions are the same, the most biggest and liquid markets, right? And in which specific jurisdiction we should have all this stack of these licenses to do what? To be the one who can actually match this cross jurisdiction settlement, right? Because the ultimate goal of this protocol is not to only digitalize these separate rooms that exist and split it in between, for example, jurisdiction-wise, right? But to actually do this cross-jurisdictional settlement. And this is not an easy task, right? It would take us to be licensed in all of these jurisdictions to qualify the standard, to attract, to involve the regulators. And only then we should kind of agree how we can actually communicate in between each other so it all makes sense and it's all kind of fully compliant from both sides, right? And that's why it's not so easy, and that's why we need this kind of layer of open source development under our standard to qualify that all these guys knows what we're doing, we agreed what we're doing, and it fits the vision and the reality of all regulators.
That's very important here. So yeah, I love that you even have like what to show us and some
Yeah,
slides.
I can even show you more. I have plenty of stuff. I'm speaking about it daily. You see, I really I'm not just believe in the things. For me, it's just the common sense. You see, we talk about kind of from the historical perspective. I believe this is something like maybe when Uber made this aggregator for the taxis and captured the world with this idea, right? So we're talking about the synchronization engine that can synchronize all these entities that are ready to play under specific rules, right? So that's why it's an extraordinary quest line, but we have a plan. And we already proof tested it. We already kind of did our not only research, but all these, doubts and battles and find a solution how this could actually be performed. Because I would never believe that, you see, such type of offering could be sold just by startup to the market. Because it's like chicken and egg. For them to believe it, you should have some big guys with you who already believe in you that this is real, right? So how do you involve big guys into such a stage when you're just a startup, right? So we need some, some meaning, some target, and some kind of political program to engage all these guys, right? And it's already moving. So we already been qualified by the foundation, and then we got the first pipeline of supporters, partners, and it was made quite fast, I would say. So I believe we can scale that easily.
Yeah, that's a good topic, by the way. Like, I'd love to hear more about your current traction validation. Where are you now? So you showing us 300 plus VCs engaging and 65% engagement rate. So can you break down it a bit and what exactly you already like have commitment, or what did you do?
Yeah, so for all the guys, because we do a lot of things in stealth mode. We are not actively pushing a lot of updates, unfortunately, for our community. But nevertheless, the major news we usually share. So we're gonna open the beta version soon. We are polishing the backend right now, so it would fit all the security and other technical stuff and policies. So it would be really solid product from day one. We don't want to kind of give you something that we talk about. The idea that we kind of those guys who bring something that fits the specifications of disclosures, of compliance, of all this, boring stuff that it's not yet here specifically in Web3. So that means we should actually do that. We cannot, fake this product. So a long story short, we're gonna publish and open the registration soon. Maybe in a week or so, maybe. Next is this story with the Canton Foundation. I low-key can maybe show you this slide, how we've been selling this whole idea to the Canton, and this is the slide from the strategy session we had last week with the foundation. What we're actually gonna be kind of building as a part of this open core development. This imagine we have all these guys. I mean, thousands of brokers, thousands of VCs, family offices, hedge funds, whatever, investment banks and others who are potentially holding or custody of holding for such assets, right? So we need to have a reason and a very easy plug and play solution how they can be onboarded, because the network is not like the smart contract. Network is the actual parties, right? So we need to have the very, very easy process of onboarding of all these guys and the right reasons to do that. Reasons is obvious. We talk about the aggregated liquidity, but the plug and play should be also open source, right? Because I don't believe that a bank could kind of take the risk, believe in some closed product plugin to some. So we don't want to be in between these institutions and Canton, right? We need to do this pipe for them, and this pipe should not be controlled by us, right? Otherwise it would be risk for the institution. So that's what we're actually doing right now. We're collecting this work group right now for this initiative on Canton Foundation. And as I already mentioned, we got some of them already. There are going to be more. You guys also can write us if you want to join. No matter if you're somehow related to fintech solutions, I mean, or you already exist in, fund, family office, broker, law firm, whatever else that I show you as a reference from Open Cap Table, guys. So you're welcome. And what else? So besides that, we've crafted all these, strategies on our legal side, etc. We reimagined our round once again. We are in a fundraising stage right now. We are in talks with a multiple of different VCs. Some of them gonna come back maybe even this week or next week. So we'll see. And yeah, we're actively attracting those kind of partners that would help us to kind of grow as soon as the beta launch gonna happen, right? Because you see, in outside all these things that are long term, that would take some time, right? If we talk about today, we have our running part of the business as a broker, right? Maybe market is not so active. Maybe there were too many scams, etc., etc. But still, it's operational, right? These type of things, how all of you guys who knows me and who knows other brokers that we used to have, it's so man, really sorry, but it feels like a joke, because you spend so much time speaking with all these endless chains of intermediates, and usually it's just a waste of time, right? So and you can stop wasting your time as soon as we're gonna launch, right? Because once again, every broker, every agent could join and have their internal dashboard of all the offers and manage them and manage who's gonna see them, right? So this software we made for us and for everyone, meaning, I mean, I know specifically every single step in all these little details and why these things should be like this or like that, right? Because I was suffering multiple times, why we need this or that. So that's why this software would be the best solution on the market for all the agents and brokers involved. And that's our, first phase of aggregator for the OTC markets for the Web3. Then we expand for the safe agreement for the equity, right? As soon as we gonna be licensed to be the fully licensed broker. And yeah, so this year gonna be a lot of things after, the beta launch. They're gonna be launching more and more things. Clubs investment, when you can do some sort of like on Echo or StationX, right? But it would make more sense because these things would be cross-liquid in between each other, right? So you just stay tuned. You're gonna see a lot of things coming up.
Well, basically, you covered a very important thing. So you mentioned that you built it as your own platform, and like I want to understand one thing. So, of course, traditional brokers, placement agents, even some Web3 platforms, like are already doing OTC deals, and I think they also have their own solution. So what is the one thing HolderHouse does that none of them can easily copy, especially the cross-jurisdictional validator chain and automation?
Yeah, you see, thanks for this question, because it's also, I see you know specifically what's the point in our business. So I'm happy to tell you, right? Once again, yeah, there are plenty of guys who involved in trying to do something with OTCs, right? And I mean, both today, most of agents or brokers who involved in Web3 start to try to sell pre-IPOs. Why? Because you see there's no demand or no supply, but there's like even Web3 VCs start to kind of search for these Anthropic or whatever ByteDance and the real deals, right? So and it looks simple. I mean, looks like you just need to find the supply. You have all these guys rushing in all these endless groups and chats. Do you have this or that? And you just need to kind of, do the intro. That's it. But it's not. So coming back to your question, what's the moat? What's the difference between us and any other broker? Firstly, is about this the flow. You see my screen, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's a demo stage, and it's been there already for several months. Once again, you would see this in action as an actual beta version launch soon. So you see, we rendered the whole procedure, and I mean specifically these things, right? To streamline the process from all the parties engaged. I mean, business owner, his team of compliance or whatever, who's actually the signee, who's actually managing the cap table, right? The middlemans, the brokers, who could be joining, all the guys could join our solution and don't have the competition between each other, right? Because you can take it on what label and work under. So it would be just the engine, the software you can use to get the most efficient workflow for you and for your clients, right? And without competing with others. But if you want to have access to the liquidity, so you would have access, right? So this is the whole idea. And this is the major difference between us and between any other, marketplace or broker. Imagine, even if we don't talk about Web3, if we talk about, I don't know, TradFi, equity management platforms like Carta, EquityZen, Allocations, AngelList, you name it. Imagine what we are trying to achieve is to build the aggregator for all of those guys. Aggregator means these guys would never be building it just because it's very controversial from their business-wise strategy. Imagine you're the agency, you have all the other competitors, right? And the standard is something that potentially could kind of give access, or you lose access to some specific clients to other of your competitors, right? So they would never do the things that can potentially hurt their business, right? So that's why I believe that we don't have any competition with other brokers, because actually this solution built not to make the competition between them. We are not trying to be the biggest broker. We are not trying to be the biggest markets here. We actually wouldn't be the actual, even dealer, right? It's be just the software and the standard and the protocol later on that would just communicate everything and, consolidate the market. And that's why, the part of our story that we are the broker that, deeply knowing each specific thing and how to make it work and how to make it, smooth, efficient, all these beautiful utilities for each party. I mean, we know how to favor and give the best kind of experience for the buyer, because we know all the questions, because we've been out of all these hundreds of deals that I try to close, and some of them close, right? I know all these pain points, all the questions, all the struggles, all the average requests, etc. So everything is here. I mean, you just need to kind of put a bit, right? A little bit. And then you can track what's going on with your bids and with your deals, and then with your portfolio, right? So we cover all the life cycle from the market to management of the bids, of the deals, and then of the portfolio. The same thing for the business. So you can kind of track your things. You can target them to specific audience. Imagine this is like Google Ads kind of software, right? When you have your campaigns and you can target them on the separate audiences, right? And you can track who wants to join. Either you kind of happy to accept them, either not, right? So then you open the deal rooms with them, then you do the compliance, blah, blah, blah. So you can track everything. And this is the management, complete. Why we call it operating system, right? Because actually this is the system that turns the daily management of all these things in one kind of software from each side. As a broker, right, you can do also the same. So you can kind of put offers, right? They can be qualified, they can be getting some bids or not. You can track which deals are happening with your guys, right? What's the fees, etc. So it's complete, infrastructure for all the parties engaged, and it's built out of our deep knowledge of how things should operate. That's why, once again, even from this perspective, because right now you can say, oh, it's just the marketplace. But it's, for the buyer, it's just a marketplace, but it's also the management of all these bids and deals and portfolio management toolset, right? For each end user is just a separate thing, but altogether is, this operating system. That's it.
Yeah, I love this idea. Like when you think about every potential customers, they have different like different way to interact with the platform with things that really important for them. That's really impressive. And now I have question, maybe the most uncomfortable question for today for you.
Yeah.
So it's about tokenization risks. As you are turning legal rights like SFTs, SAFEs, private equity shares into digital tokens. So what happens if there's a dispute on the underlying legal contract or a regulatory change in one jurisdiction? And how do you keep the token legally binding across borders?
Yeah, actually, you start to dig in the later stages, but I would say like this. You see, once again, because we are not trying to sell any kind of beautiful DeFi idea of tokenization to the TradFis. No, we do the very, very, strict and dumb move. I mean, Canton already have the SDKs and some sort of the framework for tokenization, right? There are controversial, views and perspectives. If it's a real, if it's just a wrapper, blah, blah, blah. Actually, there are going to be a huge articles coming up. I wouldn't take too much time for you guys explaining all these details, but you can actually, let me, let me show you once again. Yes, this one. So if we come back to our blog, you can read this article, and there are going to be more answering the question if there's any risk of tokenization. Yes, there are, for sure. We are not kind of trying to do anything outside the way how Canton sees that. I mean, from the basic perspective, but from the specification, I mean, that's why I told you that in our plan, we would definitely be happy to get the actual regulators involved. You see, we're not trying to cross pass something or cut the corners or, avoid something that can potentially break the cycle of tokenization. No, our idea is to involve all the right, big guys and regulators, and to qualify that this thing, no matter how it would be actually working, right, is working properly. That's it. Because otherwise, we would be just another attempt and another custom tokenization. And this is the very core idea of the whole product that we are building is like, imagine today all these beautiful tokenization platforms, whatever it's EVM chains or not, right? Firstly, it definitely, in our case, not the EVM chain, right? So we already cut this away. Second, okay, private. There are some amount of private chains, right? Which of these chains already been approved by institutions by TradFi's? Karin, we have very few of them, right? So who's actually built some sort of the tokenization for for security assets already with some big names? This is Canton. They are doing projects with DTCC tokenizing US treasuries and with for the stock market pilot programs with Nasdaq. So coming back to your question, I guess they also have some risk of this, execution, and maybe they will fix something. Maybe they are also, finding, exploring, and testing how this should be done. And coming back to our big vision, you see, while Canton is focusing to kind of do this framework and this tokenization and these rails and standard for the public markets that are saturated, that are stock, bonds, and whatever these kind of $1 trillion markets that are public, we're gonna apply the same approach but for the public for the private stage of these things, right? And in the end, the big vision that we were selling for Canton, that actually we can synchronize, like we cover the private assets part, they cover the public part, but in the end it's the story of life cycle, right? Equity from private, then it converts to the public stock, and
Yeah.
Canton could become the solid, kind of pipeline in which this liquidity would stick from day one, right? From the first private round. And then coming to IPO, it converts into stock and it still remains on Canton, right? And I believe this is our bet. I mean, we are not the US government or whoever, right? We are just a startup, I mean, like all the others. But I guess this is our bet from our perspective on the biggest player who can potentially become this sort of infrastructure. But infrastructure, I mean, the blockchain, does it mean that it have specification and the protocol, to operate? We would be those who would build specific, operational protocol and qualify it with all the right guys who already exist on the Canton. They have all these NASDAQ, JP Morgan, DTCC, blah, blah, blah. They would help us to get connected. They would help us to get them involved, right? That's why this political quest line, I guess, it's maybe even more important than the product itself. And we are doing a great job, right? But
Basically, in short, everything you can control, you control. Everything you not, you just like make a bet on the best providers right now in the space. And basically, it's again the answer why Canton. And yeah, it's a smart move.
yeah, you see, another take I would take on this topic. You see, how these things operates today. I mean, without all this, digitalization, right? We have some mainstream amount of deals happening with the biggest jurisdictions like US, right? And we have another thousands of different, custom, gray zone, blah, 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 from offshore, whatever else, right? That definitely doesn't fit the regulations or whatever compliance, maybe. So our goal is not to cover these 100% of all the deals happening in private space. No, we stick to the mainstream, to the the most clear, the most recognizable jurisdictions and capital players who actually move the biggest amounts of money, right? So we follow the money. So, and we just need to be compliant with them, right? Everything else, no matter if it's how great is, we don't care, right? Because we talk about how to be the provider for the biggest portion of the liquidity, right? And how to actually consolidate the market. How to build some sort of a Bloomberg terminal for the private capital assets.
Yeah, that's so smart. Okay, simple question for you. In 12 months, what does success look like?
Oh, that's an easy one. Success would be like that we license broker, at least on the Emirates and Singapore. That's the first stage we need to close to be fully operational for the also equity transactions, right? And that we actually already qualified as this, aggregator, that we attracted at least maybe, I don't know, some thousands of brokers, and they use our software to kind of communicate between each other. Because once again, this is what we actually selling to the brokers. We give you the complete operating system for your work, and it's perfectly done with all these, details. And it would be evolving, right? And you just connect. You can do your things privately. Nobody would bother you. You do your business. We're not breaking for your business model, right?
Mhm.
But if you need access to the liquidity, you can interact with each other, right? So
Yeah.
that's it. Once again, licensed broker position in several jurisdictions, and actually onboarding another maybe 1,000 brokers as these managers of the liquidity, right, on this software.
So if we talk about numbers, like 1,000 plus brokers on the platform, and how much volume?
Volume, I guess as soon as we reach this status of the actual ATS, when we can be not just the broker but the trading system in between them, right? The volumes could be huge. I bet we can reach 100 mil in several months of the volume, right? Because just for the reference, 100 mil on the private equity is just a peanut. You see, right now the amount of bids coming up. I mean, you definitely guys saw all this. I want to buy whatever billion on Tropic or something like that. For me, it reminds the same days like back in 2017 where I was managing the on and off ramp. And I have all these guys who wants to buy whatever thousands of bitcoins, you name it. I guess some of you guys may be trying to catch such a type of deals even today. But long story short, I mean, the average ticket sizes for Web3 secondaries are below million. Most of the VCs working under $1 million range, and that's why the volume of several, tens of millions or even 100 million looks like you need to have so much deals. For the pre-IPO 100 million, it could be one deal, right?
Yeah.
The only thing is like if you have the best sellers like today, right? And because the market is so inefficient and it feels so wrong, then I think it would be the very, very fast growing process as soon as we get these, secure the position that we actually can operate under regulations and
Yeah.
provide these, connection in between brokers. That's it.
Yeah, I got the idea. And let's go through the questions that we have on chat. So the first one, what real liquidity will tokenized SAFTs have on secondary markets?
Come again? What?
What real liquidity will tokenized SAFT have on secondary markets?
I see. So you see the major understanding of capital is like all the volumes happens privately, right? And just for the reference, you can take how do dark pools for stock market works. If you don't know, you should definitely spend some time to kind of explore, because this is the reference for any kind of market that all the volumes moves outside the market glass, right? So coming back to the SAFT liquidity, right? And who's actually doing what, and what's the source of liquidity? Who can build up this actual, supply and demand? I would say today, as a Web3 industry, we are at the very bottom of the liquidity, and it shows up even on the way how do average Web3 funds, if you can call them funds, operate in case of which type of deals they're buying. 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I was selling allocations that have this average timeline of vesting, like 1 year lockup plus 2 years of vesting. So it's total 3 years, right? And it was selling okay. Now, the average request from a Web3 VC should be like something that is liquid. I mean, listed on top tier exchanges with short vesting, like maybe top 100, 200 coin market cap project with perps on Binance. Why? Because they are buying allocations and hedging the position on perps, right? So this is not even the venture kind of capital investment. This is the delta neutron trading strategy, I guess. So it's more like hedge fund strategy because they are hedging their venture risk. Why I'm telling you this and what's the actual answer to your question? I would say that in the closest perspective, I feel that Web3 would be drowned even more because we are so misaligned with reality with all these previous bull runs. I could talk about it for hours, really. You just ask me this thing and you cannot stop me. I will tell you about this, my perspective and vision, where we at as an industry and why it is so bad for the next couple of weeks. But I'll try to be short here, because you see, why these things were kind of been selling. I mean, these soft allocations with high vestings before, just because everybody was kind of believing that Bitcoin would hit another whatever 150, 200, 300, whatever else, right? So it's all about the narrative and the sentiment, etc. And now it's totally changed, right? It's just kind of, we don't have such expectations. We don't expect everything to blow up another 1,000 times, right? And that's why we have low liquidity kind of season, right? Everybody's waiting for when gonna be the next bull run. But I believe that it's not about the cycles or any kind of promotions, what's gonna be with Bitcoin or whatever else. It's about that we need to change the whole understanding of the capital itself. Because imagine, I'm 9 years in crypto, been doing lots of projects, been involved as a C-level or co-founder. Some were successful, some not. I also advised multiple projects. I've been into maybe 5 accelerators for Web3 founders, and usually there's no even a topic about liquidity management, capital strategy for your business, etc. It's just a meeting part. You should just do the Twitter score, get listed, and you're winning, right? You got listed. Congratulations. But it shows up that this whole strategy doesn't really perform on the long term. While it's a bull run, it works really. You just need to get listed. That's everything you need to do, actually. But otherwise, you should kind of find a solution where to source the revenue, where to source the money, how to support your token. That's why you see today, on average, even the startups that raised not the 100 mil, not even the 10 mil, maybe hundreds of $1 million, all these top 100, why do we have the secondaries on them? Just they feel to be, the very, very best players on the market. They feels to be, that we expect them to grow from billion FDV to another trillion FDV, right? It feels so back those days, right? And they were raising another whatever 100, 200 trillion dollar, right, as investments. But now they are falling, and what's happening? They don't have money, or what? So, and now they're coming back to us, to the brokers of secondaries, asking, hey, maybe you can help us to sell another whatever 20, 50 million raise, selling soft allocations of their treasury or marketing tokens, right? Or helping to exit their early stages, VCs. And long story short, once again, I cannot be short, but I'm trying. Because this is the actual topic that I'm very inspired to talk about. So the whole idea about what's the source of liquidity, unfortunately, retail is not the liquidity for venture, right? Retail used to kind of boost something on the listing, and then if there is no other support from the market, they are not those guys who can support any chart. They don't have so much capital. They cannot kind of battle against, falling liquidity. So, as a business, why do all these guys? They definitely not lacking the funding, right? Even having whatever 100 millions, it's not the solution that would kind of give you the extraordinary strengths of your token chart on the market if every market is falling, right? So we need to reimagine and come back to reality from this endless crypto party once again, and see the things as they are. I mean, we need to craft strategy based on the revenues, on the equities, and on the very obvious for the TradFi kind of perspective things that talks about business, but not about community, some, Twitter
Yeah,
score or whatever token, right?
it will change
So
soon.
once again, I guess there would be some season of, reimagining and coming back to reality for Web3. So the maturity stage. And I guess this stage today is very necessary step, very necessary kind of process that we need to completely break down this illusion of what the liquidity is, what the market is, what the strategy we should use. And that's why the part of our story is to actually build a lot of, education and involve a lot of, guys like you and other accelerators, et cetera, to kind of show that, hey guys, if you want to kind of build a business, not just the promotion of something with a token, right? So you should think as a businessman, right? And you should more like kind of, use the both kind of strategies from TradFi and Web3 combined. That's what we do for us, for our race, and that's what we propose to do for everyone else. And that's this whole story I am telling you for what? I believe this is the only way how we can actually attract and build liquidity for SAFT allocations in the long term. Because before they kind of be the de-risking in the risk score of the classic venture, before that, nobody wants to invest in that because the risk profiling doesn't fit reality. That's all about the numbers, right? It's all about risk profiling. So if we can de-risk such type of investments, so only then the money would come in, right? Only then we would have these, actual parties, a lot of parties who would be happy to hold them because the risk is fitable for their, strategy. That's it.
Yeah, and just like to add my 2 cents here, I also like tell this for many founders, and sometimes like even while they have business and they say me, but like we want to launch a token, I just say them, okay, like consider a token launch as a separate business that will require money from your core business to support it and so on. So do not expect something like in return from that, especially in like short-term perspective. It's like a long-term vision which requires a lot of money and time, and yeah, like so sometimes it's better just like to skip this part and do not introduce your token at all. Okay, we are almost approaching 1 hour, so I have like more questions for you, but this will be the last, and it's from community side. I think it's really great one. What's one crypto lesson you learned too late?
What's one crypto asset?
Lesson that you learned
Lesson,
too late.
lesson. That yeah, actually, it's a great one because you see, the lesson was not to try to be the trader if you're not a trader, because you see, crypto brings you this vibe of that community of crypto anarchy, who's don't care about the banks, the government, blah blah blah. It was romantic, right? And this romance vibe around crypto is beautiful. I mean, because you have some sort of um, the feeling that you connected with other people who also tried of something in their life, and now you have communication, you have some party, you have some infrastructure, some sort of your personal reality in which you kind of do the things that nobody knows, nobody cares, nobody understands, and you can kind of even get some money out of it because it grows, right? And every time you see the psychology of average human, we are so the same, right? We just because of that, it all works the same way. And that's because everybody who knows how the market maker, working on the other part of these trading charts. Yeah, because I also been working on tax. We've been doing this. I mean, I know how do you recognize as a trader, given all these lines, perception, all these double top, these convergence, whatever else, right? And on the other side of the screen, these guys are, oh, let's show the double top. So it feels like a joke. So I mean, in this casino, yeah, I've tried. Really, this was my mistakes. Sometimes it was I even get some profits out of it, but let's commit. I'm definitely not a trader. Um, that's what the first lesson, because working in this niche, I definitely was inspired that I know so much, I understand this or that, right? It feels like
Yeah.
so natural, so close to me, right? Even though that I work with all this industry, that I definitely know better than the average hamster, but it's
Yeah,
not.
yeah, this bias that we all have. I love your, like you named it casino. I totally agree with you. And you should remember that retail trader in statistics have less chances than like gambler in casino. So in casino, you have more chances to win than in trading. Just remember that, guys.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you for this insightful session. It was 1 hour so fast. Guys, who watching us online, I see that almost 700 people watching us. That's amazing. Follow Nikita, follow HolderHouse, follow EasyMM, and follow me on X. Like you can ask any questions in DM or like just drop a comment. We will read everything and answer on it. So thank you, Nikita, for this 1 hour. It was awesome and very insightful. Guys who work with private capital deals, you know, like this is the best contact you can reach to right now. So thanks everyone for watching us, for listening to us. Nikita, maybe you want to add something in the end?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Really, as you see, guys, I really love to speak about those things. So happy to talk more with any of you guys, and really thanks and I really appreciate that you believed in us. You're helping us with all these things, and you, Daniel, and your team. So EasyMM, good guys. Really, thanks for your help. And yeah, you know our contacts, you know where to find us. So reach out for us and stay tuned.
Yeah. Thanks everyone. Have a great the rest of the day. Bye bye.